Welcome back. Mikki Meisner and Baron Robison with Connect the Dots. Thank you for tuning in. Just real quick, would love it if you could like and subscribe to our channel. That way you can stay abreast of everything that we're doing, all the information we're bringing to the table. And just join us here more often.
Yeah. Easiest way to find our channel, just go to YouTube, put in Kick In Cancer Productions, and then hit subscribe when you get there. There's several choices. When you see playlist, this is the Connecting Dots choice. There's like 3 choices in the playlist. The easiest way is that you're going to see the really beautiful lady, then you're in the right spot. If you're seeing the bald guy, you're in the wrong spot. Just to make it easy for the listeners.
It's a lot of information. I think we're going to have to simplify this, but I digress. What are we talking about today?
There is a really interesting concept out there, and we've referenced a book called Chris Beat Cancer several times.
Ooh, good book.
Yeah. For those that haven't read the book, here's a copy of the book, Chris Beat Cancer. And Chris, we don't have time to get deeply into Chris's story, but Chris references this thing called a collective consciousness. And I think that you and I can have an interesting discussion about this collective consciousness that's occurring. So for a little timeline for the listeners, the internet comes out, kind of a new concept, but there's all this information that's now available through the internet. And people became more intrigued by information. There's a whole generation younger than you and I who they just get information this fast, right? It just comes at them so rapidly. Well, then the COVID pandemic hits, and so all of a sudden you've got this whole generation that's kind of stuck in their houses. They got nothing to do, and so now they're really reading a lot of stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
And I think what began to happen was as they began to read, they go, wait a minute, this is not matching what we were told. What we were told is one thing. What we're reading is something different. We come out of the pandemic several years ago, and they all began to talk to each other. All of a sudden, chat rooms became a bigger deal, and different places to share information became more prevalent because when we're locked down in the pandemic, what else do you do? But you find other people to talk to. And this consciousness began to occur of people talking to each other, right?
People waking up. Waking up to the fact that we may or may not have been lied to.
Yeah. So I just thought it would be interesting to get your perspective on this collective consciousness that is beginning to occur, especially since you're really involved in the health and wellness industry here.
Yeah. Well, I woke up to the health and wellness. I want to say the lie. I like to tiptoe around that because I'm never going to say that, there's no validity or benefit from our medical system. I just want to preface it by saying if I was in an accident, there's no place I would rather be than the American
Well, if I break my
ER.
arm, I want Western medicine to fix a broken bone.
Yeah. If it's across the street, by all means, sew it on.
Yeah.
But if I'm sick, that's not where I want to go. And when I was diagnosed with cancer when I was 28 years old, 1996, it was a wake up for me because had I followed their protocol, not only would I not have my 3rd child, but I'm not sure I would be alive today. And I just kind of went rogue and went out in the woods and drug home forest products and made medicine.
So
it's a lot more complicated than that.
I would encourage listeners right now, go back to our YouTube, go to episode 2 of our show and hear your entire story. Because when you say going rogue, that's an understatement, Mikki.
It's an understatement.
It's an understatement that you went rogue.
I'm careful when I tell that story, though, because, I did have some good tutelage. I had, a great naturopath that was walking me through the process. I had a master herbalist that was walking me through the process. So it wasn't like I was just helter-skelter, no, I'm not going to do chemo and radiation. I had some really great people walking me through the progress.
But not Western medicine's approach.
No. Thank God I didn't have insurance. And, honestly, I was having a conversation with a gal yesterday, and she's got this whole list of things wrong. And she's really locked into what her insurance will cover because she's spending so much a month for her insurance. And so she wants to make sure to get her money's worth. And really the things that support your health, the things that are naturopathic, the things that in all honesty, you really need to build your immune system and strengthen your body's innate healing system.
Yeah.
They're not covered by insurance.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating, and it's insane.
So
Truly.
I know you've heard this story, and for the listeners that go to, I think it's episode number 1 for us, but I think it applies to what you're talking about. My sister and I co-founded this organization, mostly because of her cancer situation. And it's one of those, good news, bad news, because if she hadn't got the cancer and if she hadn't treated it the way she did, it wouldn't have inspired me to do what I'm doing.
Right. We wouldn't be here now.
We wouldn't be here now.
I wouldn't have met
because
you.
I would have had no reason to go kick cancer in the donkey, right? But in her case, they looked right at her. They said, you have a slow-growing but very aggressive tumor. And chemotherapy, it was not going to be receptive to chemotherapy. So she wound up doing high doses of liquid vitamin C, which did kill the cancer cells. But she also just went completely all vegetables. She did her own juicing. She actually grew her own broccoli sprouts at her house because broccoli it's really high on sulforaphane, and the sprouts have 50 times the amount of sulforaphane. So kind of like you, she went a little rogue. But guess what? Insurance didn't cover all that stuff that she was doing.
Why is it that natural healing is radical? That's the part that, anyway, when I became an herbalist, I literally was looking over my shoulder like, are they going to burn me at the stake for this? Because, natural healing was demonized back in the, what year was that again? A couple years ago.
Yeah.
A couple 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. I don't want to fight against the system or point fingers or whatever. I feel like it's time for people to take their power back, and I feel like people are really waking up and taking their power back. And my Instagram feed, all my reels, what I see, because this is the way Google works, what you like and comment on and follow, you get more of that.
Sure.
So mine is all health and wellness, healthy eating.
Oh, I get all kinds
remedies.
of stuff on Facebook now that is very much our message.
Yeah.
Because the algorithms are going, well, if that's what you like, then we're going to get some more of it.
Yeah.
But when you get more of it, you realize, holy cow,
There's so much
I didn't know because I'm getting more information because they know that's what I like.
And there's a huge movement right now, to your point, what I think you wanted to talk about today.
Oh, yeah. Let's land the plane, right?
Right. I think a lot of millennials are looking at their parents thinking, oh, dear God, I don't want to go that way. They're looking at mom and dad and maybe even, grandmother and grandfather, and their lifestyle, stress, and 2, their health issues, and our innate ability to have a pill for every ill and an ill for every pill. And, there's a lot of younger generation that's just saying, no, thank you. I don't want to go that way. And it's so exciting for me to see this new generation that are saying no to alcohol, are saying no to processed food. I'm seeing this huge movement of it.
What's amazing what you just said is it was really fun because the producer for our show is sitting over there. So the producer for the show and I are driving up here to record, and we're having this exact same conversation because she's younger than I am, and so she's that other generation.
Right.
And that whole generation that she's part of, they're like, we're done with this.
Yeah.
The other thing,
thank God, because they're our only hope, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, yeah,
really.
Well, and here's another thing, and this could be a whole other show for the future, but there's a phrase that we hear all the time within the medical community. It's called standard of care, right? You've heard that phrase more than once. Do you realize that standard of care is not a medical term? Did you know that?
I didn't.
Standard of care is a legal term.
Oh, boy.
Standard of care is a legal term so that if they do X, Y, Z, they have covered their butts legally.
I just threw up in my mouth.
This is not, when we hear the phrase standard of care, it doesn't mean that they're supposed to do this because it's the best thing for you medically. They say standard of care because now whatever they do for you, they have covered their butt legally. That's how... And this younger generation, these millennials, like my producer, right? They are realizing, wait a minute, this is... My producer is shaking her head saying, I'm not your producer.
She's not a millennial. Well, she's a lot younger than you are.
She's still younger than I am. But bottom line is that they're all just going, this is not it. And here's the other amazing thing about that generation you're talking about. because they have watched their parents and they've watched what's happened with the housing market and they've watched how hard it is to save for the future and they've watched all these things that are happening in our society, that generation is not money driven. They are cause driven. If they can save the whales, if they can save the rainforest, if they can kick cancer in the donkey, that's what that generation is driven by.
And honestly, it's what the world needs. It needs change makers. It needs people that want to make a difference. It's the only way that things are going to change. Have you ever heard of the 100 Monkeys?
No, but I have, but I love how you tell this story.
So I don't remember what year it was, but they did a study on monkeys that were on an island, and they taught these monkeys how to scrub their sweet potatoes.
Okay.
And the monkeys discovered that sweet potatoes taste better without dirt on them. Weird, right?
Yeah.
So they
Smart
taught some of the
monkeys.
monkeys, and those monkeys started teaching other monkeys, and when they reached the tipping point of 100 monkeys, they noticed something absolutely unforeseen and astonishing. Monkeys on other continents were scrubbing their sweet potatoes.
So I want to recap what you just said.
Okay.
So we have this area, this island, and at 95 monkeys, they're all doing it together. But when the 100 monkeys on this island did the scrubbing, then monkeys on a whole different area did the exact same thing.
Yeah. So what happened? Well, it's quantum physics, really. It's really about energy. So when enough of those monkeys were having the same thought process, that vibration expanded out to other monkeys. They caught the vibe and started acting in kind.
So I'm not trying to compare you and me to being monkeys. I'm just going to preface that. I'm not saying that you and me are monkeys, but it's amazing how often, since I've known you over the last couple of years, I'm in Salem. I'm 100 and some. I'm several miles away, 100 something miles away.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'll have this interesting thought, and I'll go, I should share that idea with Mikki, and I'll call you, and you're like, well, I was just having that same thought, because I am a firm believer that light has a wavelength, sound has a wavelength, thought has a wavelength. And when you're on the same thought pattern as somebody else, then your thoughts begin to connect.
Yeah. And I kind of chuckle. People always say, well, this is going to sound weird. Okay, first of all, the word weird, the true definition, the origination of the word weird is magic. And second of all, can we just stop calling it weird and start understanding that we are magic? We are vibration. And I think it's time to normalize telepathy. I think that it's, call me, whether you agree or disagree, quantum physics is real. And changing an atom in one place can affect, or your intention can affect matter without ever physically touching it. I think we're far enough along in science to where we're understanding that as a truth. Well, and it's always been a truth, but now we have physical science to prove it.
Yeah.
And as humans, I don't believe it until I see it. Well, the fact is that when you believe it, then you'll see it.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a phrase that you've been saying to me in the past, and I love this phrase, that normal is a saying on your dryer.
Yeah. Don't call me normal.
But there's something else that you said. Kicking Cancer unofficially started in early 2018. My sister had gotten her diagnosis, and I wanted to find some way to help her out. And so we went to camping to this little mud run. But for several months leading up to that event, I'm talking to her on the phone. We're saying emails. We're leading up to this event that started out as 2 people and grew to 42 people that all had a really bright pink shirt on this little mud run. Except I would contact her. Now, at the time, she was outside of Phoenix. She was in Gilbert, Arizona. And I would contact her and I'd say, well, we should do this. I was having the same thought. Thought travels a long ways.
Yeah, thoughts are things.
And we were totally aligned, miles apart on this idea. When she finally shows up, it would have been May of 2018. And it was a great event because we didn't have to be together to plan it. We were planning it miles apart. people need to realize that whatever you're trying to do, we're like those 100 monkeys.
Yeah, if you're thinking it, if you're feeling it, you're not alone. You're not the only one. And I think it's time for us to really recognize that that we really are connected.
Yeah.
And connection is one of the pillars of health. Like, they have done so much research around this and the blue zones. And one of the things that they find for really healthy people is that they have connections, really strong, good connections. And I think that we block the connections with our belief system, thinking it's weird, thinking we're alone, thinking that we don't. Listen, there are so many people thinking what you're thinking and needing you.
Yeah.
And so by doing this, by speaking out, we give permission for other people to do the same. And it's daring and it's scary and it's, speaking up and putting yourself out there, but it's necessary in order for the world to change. We got to put ourselves out there.
Well, you said something that I think is the timing is perfect to really tell people through this channel and this platform. The idea came to me almost 2 years ago that it took me quite a while to figure out how to create what is now Kicking Cancer. Mm-hmm. And I had to just literally force my way through COVID to keep that idea moving forward.
I heard through the grapevine you were like collecting tin cans to pay for that.
Every so that's on my car, there was always at least one bag of cans because I still had a couple bills that had to get paid, and everything I was doing to raise money was killed because of protocols. Mm-hmm. And then I had to actually get the ball rolling again once the protocols were done. But once I did that was about the time I met you. And it dawned on me that we could duplicate this idea. We could take this idea that's in Salem, and we could create a chapter someplace else. Well, we had to get some attorneys involved to, all the legal stuff to protect the organization. And then we actually had to test it. And I'm just thrilled that all of 2024, you became the prototype test for the idea.
I was the first monkey.
You were the first. But we figured out that we could scrub our together, right?
Yeah.
And we figured out the things that didn't work really well. Mm-hmm. I'm really glad that it was you because everybody else would have thought Baron was crazy. They wouldn't have run away a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. I almost did.
But then we sat down together. You were at this wonderful meeting just a few weeks ago with our board going, okay, now we actually have a really good systematic plan. We have a 1-year development, 5-phase development plan. And so I'm just telling you, if you're in Bend, if you're in Eugene, if you're in Olympia, north of us, if you're in Arizona, if you would like a Kicking Cancer community in your area, we have a plan out for you.
Yeah.
And it's a 5-phase plan with a budget attached to it that will use our funds to help you get off the ground. And you're not alone and you're not crazy. And if you believe that other options than what we've been told are out there,
and you really want to make a difference, I'm going to submit that it's hard. This is work.
Well, and I'm
this
glad
isn't, hey, let's write you a check and off you go. This is
we've got a few minutes here, Mikki. You had 2 amazing experiences last year.
Yeah.
With opposite results.
Yeah.
Was it hard?
So hard.
Was it worth it?
So worth it.
Can you share a little bit?
Yeah. So my first go team happened to be somebody that I knew pretty well, and he had 5th stage prostate cancer that's morphed into rectal cancer. And we helped him do a fundraiser. So his partner is a musician. It made sense for us to create a concert fundraiser.
Because we were rocking for Robert.
We got the venue, gathered up a couple of bands, reached out to some business owners, had some raffle items. The support from the community was amazing, jaw-dropping, tear-jerking, amazing. It was so much fun.
I was so sad that I was there and then I had to leave.
Yeah.
Because I missed the amazing concert that happened.
We raised, I want to say, about $4,000 for Robert.
And even better, what's Robert's prognosis now?
He's cancer-free.
Amen.
Yeah. So we were able to help Robert with some pieces that we put in place, and I'm seeing that as sort of my idea of taking your vision a step further in what I'm calling the go-to teams.
Which is so critical.
Yeah, it really is, because people like having been there myself, I know what happens. You get a diagnosis and you turn into a bobblehead, and they tell you what to do, and you go, okay, and then you start going down this rabbit hole of what they tell you to do, and they make money when you're sick.
Yeah.
They make money off of
And
all
you're
these
on the
protocols.
cancer train.
And I mean, what if there are some things that could support you not to go against what the medical community tells you that you have to do? I would never do that. But to give people options on ways that they can support their immune system and build their emotional and mental health, their stamina, their, ways that we can activate healing cells, get the body hydrated, get oxygen into the cells. There's things that can be done to reverse those processes. So I wanted to put together sort of a directory and a list for my community where a go-to team.
Well, I love your phrase "go-to team" because something happened in Salem, and it ties into your second story. But we had a contact through our website. Once again, go to kicking-cancer.org and hit request help.
Okay.
And I got a request from somebody who lives here in Vancouver. Turns out that was the mom. The daughter lives in Salem. Mm-hmm. So initially I was going to say, oh, Mikki, we got another one for you, but no, it's in Salem. The daughter, unfortunately, is stage 4 and terminal, and probably has about 3 more months. Mm-hmm. So now all these wonderful resources you're talking about really aren't applicable.
Except for maybe the grief specialist.
The grief specialist, the palliative care, the hospice.
The lawyer that can help you get your end-of-life things in order.
We want go teams to help you heal, like in Robert's case, and we want go-to teams that can help you with the other.
Yeah.
Tell me about Morgan.
The other.
Tell me about the other, because that one I know was hard for you.
This was hard for me. As you know, I'm a vibrant health coach. I really wanted to put my health coach hat on, and so when I heard Morgan talking, our initial conversation, here's what I have going on. We ask questions like, what do you need from us, and how can we help you, and what are your goals and visions, and how much are you hoping to raise, and what's it for? And what Morgan wanted was help getting guardianship for her granddaughter, because she had full custody of her granddaughter. So she wanted to place her granddaughter before she passed. And really, she just wanted enough money to pay a couple months rent and a couple months car payment so that she wasn't so stressed on her exit. So Morgan wanted to die. Morgan, she was in a lot of pain. She had a rare form of cancer that is terminal. I mean, it's all terminal. None of us are getting out of this alive.
No, but without getting deep into her story, she had stage 4 neuroendocrine cancer, and neuroendocrine is really difficult to attack because it's through your whole body.
It's also really, really painful, and she was just over it.
And I remember I met this lady one time when you had your fundraiser, and you kind of chuckled, but I'm getting a little teary looking at this lady who I'd never really met but that one time.
Yeah.
But it's like it just felt so sad that she was doing everything she could, and she was still going to die.
Yeah.
And you did everything you could to help her until that happened.
Right. And so this was really a lesson for me and a test for my heart. My job as the Kicking Cancer Guide of Vancouver is to support people where they're at. And it was really a test for me to not put my agenda before her agenda. And I told her, I said, everything in me wants to put on my health coaching hat and say, if it were me, I would do A, B, C, D, F, G to help your transition, maybe less pain, maybe, whatever is in my agenda. And I said, if you want that, then you let me know, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut. So it's up to you. So I empowered her to ask for that help and gave her permission. She didn't want it. And it's really hard to watch somebody die. And I always say, and this is a tough one, I always say that when you get to the place where you recognize that this is a gift, you're cured either way this goes. And for Morgan, that was I really had to lean into listening and hearing her heart and her story and helping her see a new perspective, because she had some anger with some family members and some things that were happening, and kind of help her see where the gift was in that. And, if you're on the healing path like Robert, it's really easy to see. It's great to find gratitude. And, I met these great friends, and now I have this new life, and I'm all health motivated and blah, blah, blah. But for Morgan, finding gratitude and seeing the gift it's a different kind of magic. And it was tough. And it was really also a gift for me to understand that my job in this was just to love her where she's at and support her in the way that she wanted to be supported. And it was really, I'm going to cry, but it was really beautiful. And it was for her to have that support, for the granddaughter that, you know, we got to deliver a tuba.
Yeah,
of all things.
So we just got the woman warning, and I just got to say, I met Morgan one time, and I really had the pleasure of being with you when we met Aurora.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that girl like hugged that tuba.
I know. So, you know, sometimes what we do is fard. It's flipping hard.
It really is hard.
But
As
it's
we
beautiful.
both sit here and
I know.
cry, right.
But it's beautiful. It really and just to, you know, to offer that support to somebody, like, can we talk about meaning and purpose in life?
Yeah.
Is there much more to it than that?
So if you would like to form a community in your area, it doesn't Bend, Boise, Spokane, doesn't matter. Just hit request help, get a hold of us, kicking-cancer.org, and please tune in next week as we connect some more dots.
Thanks for being here.